I'm here in the old city of Jerusalem at the Syria Center with Adnan Joulani. What is the Syria Center?
Saraya Centre is a basically community center located here in the heart of the old city of Jerusalem. We have been operating since 1992. The building is a unique one. It is Saraya, which is the headquarters of the Ottoman ruler of Jerusalem. So it has a unique architecture, several spacious living rooms and bedrooms. It was purchased by our mother organization, the Care Society, in 1988. And since 1992, it has been providing community service, grassroots community service to the residents of the old city of Jerusalem. In particular, we focus, our vision basically is to strengthen the resilience of the old city residents. And in particular, we try to do this through programs and activities that focus around education. We target children from the age of 6 to 15, adolescents and teenagers, and then youth, both male and female. Our programs, as I said, are mainly centered around education. We provide activities that help the child achieve basically in school and out of school, but also we focus on civic education, on identity, on programs that basically foster the relationship between people and their place.
What does Al-Saraya in Arabic mean?
Al-Saraya in Arabic is the residence of the Ottoman ruler of Jerusalem. Al-Saraya also refers to a big, spacious building. It's originally Turkish, by the way.
Now, you're right here in the old city of Jerusalem. Is this a great location to be?
Yes, definitely. It's basically in the center of the old city of Jerusalem. Just about 100 yards away from us is the Christian quarter. About 200 yards from us is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. We are only 50 yards away from the main souk, the main axis that bifurcates the old city into the Christian and Muslim quarters. And also we're about 3 or 4 minutes away from the Haram al-Sharif. When we go to the top floor of our building, basically we can overlook the Dome of the Rock right in front of our site. Being so, it's close to the commercial activity, but also it is in the heart of a residential area just off the market.
Tell us a bit about the academic and social support programs that you do.
As I said, regarding the academic programs, we have programs centered around children from the age of 6 to the age of 15. We work on several levels. We work with schools, trying to complement the curricula, the Palestinian curricula at those schools, in particular with regards to civic education, but also ICT. We have an ICT center here that is sometimes used by schools that do not have an ICT center. So they bring their kids during the computer class. They bring it to our center where they can take the computer class here using our facilities and our equipment. We also have the social and psychological support. We work with social workers at schools, providing them with training, how to deal with difficulties, how to deal with kids from different backgrounds, how to deal with kids who have been subject to a lot of stress within their family, for example, and this sometimes shows at school. We also work with school principals. On the level of children themselves, also out of school, we have extracurricular activities or after-school programs. We have 5 groups of kids who come to our center 3 times a week. So our center is open every day. We provide support we have our volunteers who are normally university students or recent university graduates who work with these kids on many levels. The first level is helping them with homework, especially for kids who have learning difficulties, for example. But also we have programs and activities related to art, music, some sports. And we also have some of the international academic or educational programs, such as English learning through an international program called Learning with Potter, and a robotics program, and a mental arithmetic program. Through the mix of these academic activities and the non-academic activities, we try to infuse social values that help children deal with themselves, deal with their peers, and deal with their community in general, trying to create and build better citizens for the future.
Do you work with university students?
Yes, we do work with university students on two levels. We have several programs for youth in general, trying to strengthen their identity. When we work with university students, we work on the levels of identity strengthening, but also we try to provide some of the things that are not related to the university, but to being active citizens, about the importance of participation. On the other level, also our center is a venue for volunteers. So we have a lot of students who have to do some volunteer hours, who come to our center and do their volunteering here, especially university students who are originally residents of the old city or who have been subject to our programs when they were children, when they were at the school level. So we have volunteer university students coming and helping the younger generation and working with them. Most of our activities, being a community center and a community-based organization, most of our activities also, rely heavily on volunteerism and on the active voluntary participation by youth in our work, in our programs.
Now you have children's literature programs. Are we living in times where it's hard to get children to read books?
Definitely. This is getting difficult all the time. And we sense this, we see this. And the way we try to work basically with children is basically to mix academics with non-academics, to make learning more fun for them. And this is what we are trying to do. Also, we try to bring some of the more entertaining, enjoyable programs so they would read. But there is no doubt that reading is not the norm nowadays.
Now you also do women's empowerment as well. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes. We work with women on different levels. Of course, one of the problems that are found here in the old city is that, it's kind of a closed community. A lot of women get married at an early age, like, before 18, like 16, 17 years old. Unfortunately, some of these women do not finish school, and as such, sometimes they find themselves at a point in their life where they have to be economically productive, whether they get divorced or whether, given all the other social problems in the old city for men, their husbands get arrested, their husbands become drug addicts, whatever. So they find themselves becoming responsible economically and having to be active economically. And unfortunately, having not received education or proper education prior to marriage, they have this difficulty. So we have a vocational education program where we work with women, trying to provide them with some vocational skills where they can become economically productive and self-sustaining. We primarily focus on two programs. The first one is the basically beauty professions, hair cutting, styling, makeup artists, manicure, pedicure, all these professions for women. We have professional trainers who are basically owners of some of the more successful and reputable basically beauty shops in the area, who come and volunteer their time and provide training for these women. And in a few months' time, they develop their skills in this field, and they can make money out of it. The second track is basically related to food, pastries, things like this, where also they can make appealing pastries and sweets, whether Oriental or Western sweets, and they can sell them also and make money out of that. These are the two programs that we normally have. Recently, also, we are launching a pilot project for a more sophisticated program, which is basically tour guiding, in particular for women. The law allows people to be tour guides without a license for groups under 10, and we are trying to utilize this by providing tour guide training for some women who would become tour guides working with small groups in the Old City, particularly with the Arab tourists who would come from outside Jerusalem, particularly from the Arab communities up north on the Israeli side. So these are the things that we are trying to do. In addition, we have a lot of psychosocial support programs for women. We provide sexual reproductive health courses for women. We provide first aid training for women because given the situation, the Old City, sometimes the Old City gets closed, the gates get closed, and people can have no access to the Old City, whether inside or outside. And if, God forbid, anything happens to their kids, for example, to their children, it's difficult for ambulances to arrive on time. So this was one of the most important programs that we have given, whereby mothers and women are able to provide first aid for their children or loved ones until, proper first aid or ambulances arrive.
Why do you do what you do?
I have a sense of commitment to my community. Professionally, I've been successful elsewhere. And, when I was offered this job, I found in this a very rewarding opportunity to me, basically, emotionally and patriotically, to be able to serve in the Old City of Jerusalem, the residents of the Old City of Jerusalem, the location and the people who are suffering is very important to me. And, I think that it's a blessing to be able to work with these people here and to make, whatever positive change you can make in their lives. And if you allow me, this is not my sense only. This is the feeling that is championed by all of the staff as well as the members of the board. There is a sense of commitment to this place and to the programs that are being implemented here.
Is it making a difference in the community?
Of course, if we're not making a difference in the community, we would not be existing. And thank God we have a lot of support from the community because they appreciate the work that we are doing. Sometimes people come here, for example, yesterday I had several kids coming and saying, are there any activities today? And of course, given that it is the month of Ramadan, we have scaled down our activities. So you find still people coming and they want to do something. The network of volunteers who we have at the center who were 10 or 15 years ago were small kids, beneficiaries of the activities of this center and the services provided by these centers. And they maintain this sense of commitment until they have become youth and they were giving back to the community is an indication of the good work that we are doing in our community. We have one of our staff, for example, who was also, prior to becoming a staff member, he was a volunteer, and prior to that, he was a beneficiary of the programs and activities of the center. The feedback that we are getting is great. Unfortunately, it's difficult to measure impact in such locations aside from the anecdotes and the signs of appreciation that we get from the community, because the amount of stress is insurmountable. The pressure that people are subject to is unbelievable. The problems, the political problems, sometimes the stabbings that happen around us, they take a toll on the residents of the Old City, both mentally and psychologically. And we have to deal with this, and we have to give people assurances that there is hope in life. There is a positive opportunity for life to have a positive outcome. And when we work on these things, we see how people change in front of our eyes.
What's your website, Facebook page for people who'd like to know more?
Yeah, it's Saraya Centre.org.
Okay, Adnan, thank you very much.
You're most welcome, my friend.